Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. For this episode, I thought I would share with you something I've been practicing lately, which is looking at the connections as we should between our minor six family members. And really, I hope this encourages people to think less about chords and cool chords to play and more about movement. And I hope that this, if you're confused about what movement means, I hope that this video helps you understand that more. So I was looking at moving from, I'm thinking of D7, moving to G minor or to G major maybe, but I'll do G minor first. And I'm looking at how the minor 6 on the 5, so that's A minor 6, when it transitions to the tritones minor, which is E flat minor 6, both of these over D. So A minor 6 over D is the minor 6 on the 5. E flat minor 6 over D is the tritones minor. And you could look at my episodes, earlier ones, the one on substitutions. I think that's episode 2, to talk about these things and get a PDF about it if you're unfamiliar with those terms. But so I'm looking at just the change between those. What happens when I do this with a nice smooth voice leading? The root of A minor 6 always goes up a half step to the I guess it's the 5th in D minor 6. In E flat minor 6, I should say. The root of A goes up, the root of A minor 6 goes up a half step to B flat. Whereas the 5th of A goes down a half step. So it goes like, the other two voices stay the same. So I can do these pretty movements that are like, so that could be nice, like in Autumn Leaves. So something like that, just playing those kind of over the 5 chord. But I started thinking, well, what about the other two voices if I want to move them and don't want them to be static, which I do all the time, and I just started analyzing what is it that I'm doing. And I'm playing family members. So if I wanted to move one of these other notes, like say the 3rd of this A minor 6 chord up a half step, well, then I would need to go to the ugliest duckling, like that. So I could go, what did I say, A minor 6. Okay, so that would be what I would do. I go from any of the other family members. I could move this note up, but from the minor 6 and the 5, from A minor 6, the 3rd of A minor 6. This is how I was first looking at this. It goes up a half step to go to the ugliest duckling, which is F sharp minor 6. In this case, it's that odd one that has a major 7th. But I like that sound if I'm playing the tritone. That's scale to E4 in the tritone scale, right? So if I go like whoops. Maybe not the best line, but it gets the idea of that. That's that major 7th in relation to D7, but it's just going up a half step to the 5th of G minor in this case, which is nice. So I can do that by doing, right? And I've talked about the ugliest duckling before. But now I'm just thinking, dependably, if I ever want to move up the 3rd of A minor 6, that's what I do. And if I want to move up the 6th of A minor 6, that I would move to what's called the minor 4, C minor 6. So those are the movements. Now look at what we can do if we do that. So like say I'm at this part of Autumn Leaves. So maybe I'll go like that's a pretty sound, or just even something simple like that's a pretty sound. That's that ugliest duckling movement. So I started feeling empowered by looking at this, and I thought, well, let's see. I think this means if I really consciously think about this, I can practice doing a chromatic scale from D up to D, right? Up to D, but harmonize it entirely with minor 6 scales. So not with, I do this like with the scale of scales and stuff, but I'm just going to think minor 6 chords and the diminished that moves to them. So this D, so I'm thinking D7 the whole way, and just minor 6 chords that I substitute over those. So that's going to be either the 6 and the 5, tritones minor, ugliest, duckling, or the minor 4, and the diminished that moves to those. So here this D is harmonized by the off chord that moves. D sharp, I have that in the tritones minor, that's a nice place, or in the minor 4, but I'm going to do the tritones minor maybe, just for kicks. So, and then 6 on the 5, and then diminished for F, and then maybe 6 on the 5 again, minor 4, diminished. I'll stick with the minor 4 for this one. I could have done the 6 on the 5, but I'll do the minor 4. And now I'm in the tritones minor, and then I'm in the off chord in the diminished, tritones minor. Now I'm in the ugliest duckling, and then I'm going to go to the off chord, and then the tritones minor, and then resolve the G minor. I mean, I already got the D, but that was in the off chord, so make it a little bit more musical, though this is just a technical exercise to learn how to harmonize every single note with just minor 6 chords. So I'm, of course, not going to play this exercise in a song, but it will make me familiar. So I'll do it again. I'll do it a little faster. So. I just did that with shell chords. You could do it with other voicings, but I like that quite a lot. And then I started looking at, so I'm just going to do these beautiful little, in the top voice, you could do it in other voices, but I'm liking it in the top. And I'm just going to move upwards so many steps. I'll just kind of decide. So for starters, I'll start here. I'm going to start every time from tritones minor for kicks. So I'm going to go. So I just went, right? I could have gone, so I've gone, whoops. I could have done like I did before at the end of that little exercise. So, so that's just moving up. I did, this is the 2 chords, that's C minor 6, and then I go, and now this is the tritones minor, so this is E flat minor 6, ugliest duckling, which is F sharp minor 6, off chord, went to the tritones minor again. The idea is that when you're really pushing this sound, where you're just following the voices moving, you don't need to worry about, I mean, I've been doing this and I'm like playing the minor 6 on the 5 in a minor key, which I never do otherwise, but I'm really finding it to be beautiful in this kind of situation. Like I was doing stuff like this, where it's like, and that was starting with minor 6 on the 5, and then tritones minor, ugliest duckling. And it's really making, you know, I've been using the ugliest duckling a lot. I've talked to you guys about it before, but now I'm just finding multitudes of ways because I'm just focusing on those lines. And this is what I mean, and this is maybe a little, I'll try not to have a rant about this, but I see like in my feed, like YouTube videos from jazz channels, and they're always talking about, when they talk about harmony, they're always talking about chords and learning cool jazz chords. And I just find it, I've always found that really uninspiring. And I think it's the opposite of what Barry Harris quoted from Coleman Hawkins about, I don't play chords, I play movement. And what I'm talking about always is about movement. And I really don't, I'm not thinking of this as like learn some cool chords to kind of smack in there. Because those are, chords are like static, dead things. Chords are way stations of movement. And those harmonies that happen are beautiful. I'm not saying chords don't exist, but I'm saying kind of chords don't exist in a way. That the primary factor is the movement, always. And that's kind of where the history of music comes from, is in voices moving in time. And harmony is important, and I'm not saying I never just go, but even still, I'm seeing this as a way station this way station of voices that can move even if I just sit on it. It's a different mentality, and this is one of many ways to practice that. So instead of learning chords and just thinking that's the goal, think of them as you're learning them and you're observing the paths. And this is a great way to practice that. So here I'll make a few examples of more of this. So I'm going to go. So I did maybe. So that was the first one. So maybe, and then I'll maybe go. Whoops. Maybe. Can barely reach that one. I'll do that again. So do da da da. Maybe I should go. Yeah, because this kind of went down. Hear my bass. So my bass goes down. So that was, all of that was to say, I did C minor 6 into the tritones minor. I moved in contrary motion out to a drop 3 from a drop 2 to the diminished. And then, so that made like that. And then I'm gonna get that ugliest duckling. You know, that's what I did afterwards. So now I'm going to go, I'm just kind of thinking from each position of D minor 6. So I had E flat minor 6, the tritones minor. So I had this is the 6th on top, and I moved it up like that to the ugliest duckling. Now I ended up with, I had the D minor 6 with a 3rd in the bass, and I guess the 5th on top. Now I'm going to go root position D minor 6, and now I'm going to go something like, oh, watch this. So and get that. So what I did there was C minor 6, C. Now here. This is my tritones minor, but I want my line. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go tritones minor to the minor 4, which is the same thing as my 2 chord. It's C minor 6 again. Minor 4 and the 2 chord are the same thing. So I'm like vacillating in a way between the 5 and the 2, but I'm not thinking of it that way. I'm just thinking of voices moving because it sounds beautiful. So it goes off chord. That's the diminished. I have to hit in order to get this note, I decided to hit that minor 4 again. Tritones minor. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Now I'm going to, instead of B here, I'm going to be, maybe I'll start from this little shell voicing. So I'm going to go, so now here's my tritones minor. I'm going to go, oh, this is going to be funky. So it's da 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 da. Gotta practice that. So, and then I'll just go. And that's how I get that line going. It goes tritones minor, octave chord. I'm going in contrary motion here to. This is, I guess this is the minor 6 on the 5, which I would never do normally. I would never go from the tritones minor to the 6 on the 5 because I normally never go from the tritone to the normal dominant 7. But here it sounds great to me. Now I'm back on the tritones minor, and then this is the minor 4, and then so that is tritones minor. Minor 6 on the 5, diminished, tritones minor, minor 4. So there's so many things that could be done with this. It's just, I think it's really exciting, and I hope that you guys kind of get into it. I mean, I don't know what would that be after that. Now I got it. I guess I was already here, but I. So this would be. Maybe, and I'll keep moving with my chromatic motion just to challenge myself. Made some more chromatic motion and just hit some of those minor 6 chord. So just to wrap it up, the way to practice this is to look at start out by looking at your minor 6 and the 5 going to the tritones minor. So if you're thinking of D7, that would be A minor 6 moving to E flat minor 6. And just look at how each voice moves. And notice that only 2 of them move. The root of A minor 6 moves up, and the 5th of A minor 6 moves down. This is going to make you look at those chords and see those parts of the chorus. Right? See this motion, which is really important. That little stuff that is the motion in the chords, the movement of how the voices move. And then take a look at A minor 6 moving to F sharp minor 6. And notice that makes the 3rd of A minor 6 go up. Right? And then the 5th will always go down, and then the other 2 voices will stay the same. So you're going to go like that. So, and if you just look at that in and of itself, that's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that when you're looking at just the motion. Just don't even worry about the chords so much. And that's the thing. And I guess I'll just end with that, is that I'm going to say this more often. I've said it before. But just working with students and stuff, I always encourage them to not try to mix this with like other things like, well, now I want to think of a sharp 5, flat 9 kind of thing. Commit to this way of thinking, and it is freeing, and you will learn the flavors, and you will learn the sound of when you want to hear a flat 9 or whatever. It's there in this way of thinking, but it's much more organic and freeing. And I really appreciated the nice comments on the Polka Dots and Moonbeams video, and I'm just trying to share with you guys how, maybe I'll talk about that song in another episode, and just how it's about simple thinking, and there's not a lot of complex thinking, and that allows me to move fast. But you have to practice it, and this is a way to practice. So I hope this has been helpful. Video went a little long, but I'll end it now. And thank you very much. And I'll talk to you soon. Keep practicing.